When I say my product's really good and somehow I haven't done the hard work to know, you can hear the hollowness in my voice. So if I tell you that this therapy is absolutely the best therapy in the world, I know it is. We know it is. Marisa knows it is. Our therapists know it is. Why? Because we've tested it against all other models and we know. So knowing isn't just a tick box, it's how you live, it's how you communicate.
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode. I'm going to be interviewing John Davey here. We're going to go back and forth a little bit, talking about business models and how to really make more money in life. And something that, John and I have had a lot of conversations about through our 6 years of friendship actually now, and lots of different business hurdles in different businesses, and now in the same one together, is talking about kind of levels of thinking within business. And this concept will blow your mind if you haven't heard of it before. And I think how we're going to present it today is going to be super interesting and super helpful for you. So enjoy this episode. John, you started Rapid Transformational Therapy, the company with Marisa, 8 years ago now?
Yeah, 8 years ago we started together. We knew that simply Marisa being the best therapist in the world, that's one business model. And going back to your point of one business model, but it sure hasn't got any leverage.
Yeah.
Or leverage, as you guys love to say.
Yeah, and I remember when you started it, you told me this story where you were like, yeah, it's just going to be like a $500,000 thing on the side where we're going to teach people, right? And that was the idea in the beginning. It wasn't this huge mission that it is today, and now it's evolving more and more and more, where I was calculating the other day that probably RTT has already impacted more than 1 billion lives. You started this as like a side hustle to just be interesting and have a more beautiful life, and then now it's resulted in that.
Well, yeah, if you look at how a therapist impacts scores of people in front of them, in there they have families. That's one level of circle. In there, that person may have a company with 500 people in it, who then have friends and families. If you affect one small person, you can't stop the ripple effect at all.
Yeah, it's incredible, right? Because you take Marisa alone, she works with obviously extremely powerful people, one-on-one, and helps them, right? But then from there, she does her Instagram, her Facebook, her YouTube, her podcast. She goes on other people's podcasts. And if you count all that up, we're looking, 250 million views on that content and an insane amount of engagement on YouTube alone. And then if you add like Instagram and TikTok into that, we're now talking well over 1 billion engagements on just Marisa, and then stack on top training 15,000 people in the various certification programs. And then you think that all of them are doing social and doing YouTube and doing podcasts and promoting themselves, and all of them are working with powerful people across the world. I mean, your side hustle is accidentally changing humanity. So let's talk about that.
But it's, you can have a side hustle selling paper clips. It's a lot easier to set fire to a side hustle if its intention is pure and honest and it works. And so, in any of the businesses that you want to do, go back to basics, get it working, make sure that you know it works. And when you know it works, that's one of the big variables you can take out to explode a business.
So on a high level, what you just said is probably the most important thing anyone's going to hear in this part, which is ultimately product is the thing. Ultimately, everything that we're going to talk about in business models today is important, that you put yourself in the right model. But ultimately, if the product that you're offering is so good and really works beyond people's expectations, it's going to do very well. Well, you could have sold an incredible paperclip, but maybe it wasn't inspiring enough to really grow it to the level that you've grown this to and that it's continuing to grow into, right? So it's about choosing something that is fun, easy, sustainable, and profitable, but also inspirational.
I was giving this speech to someone the other day, and they said, can a sandwich be inspirational? They was trying to move it towards a paperclip, and before I was shrugging my shoulders, and I said, have you seen what Pret a Manger have done around the world? They sell sandwiches, but with such inspiration, with such consistent value. Somewhere in that organization, there's someone who just loves sandwiches. Someone could love a paperclip, okay, but the point being is, whatever you're going to do, you simply got to love it, and you've got to care for the outcome, and you've got to stand in the shoes, whether that's the shoes of the client who said, I've just given up 50 years of depression, or the office worker and said, this cray sandwich is just going to make my day. If you can't live in the shoes of your buyers, I suggest you stop until you can taste. Yeah.
And something I'm hearing you say there that I think is also really critical to understand, and it's so funny, we haven't even gotten into the levels and the models of business yet, but we are going to get there. But this is so important, which is it's always consistency over spectacular. The music artists that have the best product that you remember are prolific. They're not a one-hit wonder. Occasionally there's a one-hit wonder where we will remember what they did. The ones we know very well are the ones who consistently delivered new, interesting, beautiful pieces that were really coming from a place that was sustainable, right? And so it's asking yourself, if you want to have this beautiful life, build a beautiful income for yourself in any business model that we're going to get to, it's really about finding something that you can deliver consistently at a great level. So I went to Joe and the Juice today for the third day in a row because the gluten-free tunicado sandwich is so good that I just had to go. So to your point, I'm like, that thing is beautiful.
But here's the interesting point. Okay, so there are two, we get this question a lot. My product is really good. And I go, well, you would say that because you made it? I go, no, it's really, really good, John. How do you know? Have you blind tested it? Have you actually split tested it against the competition? How do you really, really know? And so you've really got to take yourself out of the equation. When I say my product's really good and somehow I haven't done the hard work to know, it's, you can hear the hollowness in my voice. So if I tell you that this therapy is absolutely the best therapy in the world, I know it is. We know it is. Marisa knows it is. Our therapists know it is. Why? Because we've tested it against all other models and we know. So knowing isn't just a tick box, it's how you live, it's how you communicate.
Let's get into the business model thing. So just to give people sort of a mental model to start constructing, if you want to draw this out, it might be really useful for you, but just think that there's levels of business. So 1 through 10, right? And level 1 business might be you are living off of a government wage of some kind. So they're paying you disability, or you're relying on like a government entity to pay you. That's like level 1 of income, right? And then level 10 of income, or no income, of course. And level 10 is you probably own some sort of a business that absolutely everyone on earth needs, that is incredibly inspirational. And then most people that are listening to this or watching this are probably somewhere in like that level 4, 5, 6 range, which is they're employed by someone, maybe they're on the higher skills spectrum. Maybe they're a therapist already with RTT, or they have their own business as a contractor, something like that. So my first question is, as someone who is employed, probably with a medium to high skill job, so tech, or maybe like a video editor, someone like that, what would be the things that they could do to improve their ability to get income? And I know Marisa always says 3 things. The first thing is always get better at your skill, get better at your craft. And that's going to ultimately lead you to getting more money if you believe that you're worth more money and you're willing to ask for that more money, right? And then the third one is put in more hours. So those are kind of the 3 things: either work harder, get better beliefs, or upskill, right? And those are the 3 things Marisa always says. If we were to double click on any of that, what would you recommend for those people?
I'm only going to double click on one of them, and it's upskill, but upskill to in a very particular way. There's a term called entrepreneur. It's big in the Europe, but I'm not sure over here. I believe that what changes the game for an employee would be to have the mind of an entrepreneur. Lots of staff want to go, I want to do this thing, and eventually I'll have a side hustle. Okay. You can have a mindset side hustle inside. Okay. Inside. So you should be able to say, okay, I've got my job and I know how to do it. If I own this company, I would do X. And please, when you do this, if it is X, there's maybe only 3 of them, okay, work out what would happen. Truly, truly, truly. If this company did this idea, it would work like this, I'd have to take this risk, or there's some downside in there, okay? And once you're really comfortable, then ask a few friends, hey, I'm thinking of talking to the boss, right? About these 3 things, or the one thing, okay? But what do you think about it? Well, that's a stupid idea because you hadn't thought about that. Oh, no, you're right, thanks very much, I'll fix that. Okay, what about this one? It's a good idea. So therefore, if you are aspirationally trying to work out, one day I'm going to have a side hustle and a new business, then practice here on the turf that you've got. If you keep on bringing good ideas to the people you work with, and they get rejected out of hand, there's only two things, A, your ideas might suck, or B, actually, in fact, this is not the place I can grow. So practice that muscle. Or if you're in a job, act as if you're not. If you're half-assed at doing your own job, and then you say, hey boss, I've got a real great idea that we could do this and double, most of the reaction would be, I'd love you to do your job that you got now really well, and then we could do that. So a little bit of politics, a little bit of stuff. But remember, those doors are open. And if they're not open, then hey, go and work for somebody who'll listen.
What would you say about leadership as principles for someone as a solopreneur or small business owner?
Okay, I'm going to give you my way. Make sure that the company that you have is leadable. If you think you can take 25 people and inspire them and make them really lose sleep over a paperclip, then you are a much better leader than I could ever be. Right? I can't do that. I can't find the inspiration. Okay, there's a lot of leaders out there, right? Because shit's got to be done. Water companies got to be run, electricity needs to be done, paperclips got to be done. Okay, and we all need good leaders. Unfortunately, in this microcosm, the leader that you're looking in front of you is, I will lead something that I know works. This therapy is the best therapy in the world. My level of leadership will only work in a company that I've chosen to put together to do something brilliant.
What it sounds like is, if this business, if you hadn't figured out how to get it to succeed, you would lose sleep because you care about it so much, because you care about the mission so much. And so the tip there is, you must find the thing within the business or within the job that you love and double click on that for yourself.
Let me share you a story. I've only really thought about this, because we have something in the company called the Anonymous 360, and it does exactly what it says in the tin. If you want to put an idea forward or a criticism forward, and normally the person actually comes forward and says, that was my idea. What we found is the people who are what we thought would be coming to us for criticism are coming to us with ideas. You must have a clear way of, in your company, of anyone putting their hand up and going, boss, I think we should do it this way, and not being shot. That's something I believe in, work towards, didn't get it right for years, but it's my North Star, and I think it's really important. That's a place I want to live. Yeah,
a culture you'd like to have too, right?
Yeah.
So the thing that you're saying there, which is so funny, because I have a personal anecdote of you doing this many times with me and with other people, but it's saying your ability to give and receive constructive criticism well is probably the biggest determining factor of success in any area of your life, whether that's a relationship, your partnership, whether that's friendship, whether that's business, whether that's even with yourself, to receive and give criticism well, so that you can really develop yourself internally and externally, right? And the thing that you always say, that John always says, he will ask me, if you were running this whole thing by yourself, what would you do differently? What would you do? And then you just are totally open every time you ever say that to anyone that I've seen you say it to. And so that's the expression of this principle. And so it could be used for anyone. If you're an employee in a company and you were to say, if I were to do what I do differently to anyone around you, right? Particularly people that you respect and think are, smart, receive that. And ask them. And maybe not everything is right. Maybe you don't agree with everything. And you can ask that to your bosses. You can ask that to the people that work for you or with you, your peers, right? And you can ask that in relationships. I mean, that really expands way beyond that.
But with me, it's even more important, because I'm not a domain expert. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a comedian. I can't cook. I can't do video. I can't write scripts. I'm only indifferent at copywriter, okay? So unless I ask, I'm sunk. And the only difference with me is possibly I know that I'm average at everything. The thing I'm really good at is getting other people to say, wait, you're average, but I'm damn good at this. This therapy, I am good at. Well, that's great. Well, that's you and you talk together because I think the alchemy, and that's my job. I see a lot of
I literally, what I just formed in my head that I've never formed with you before is you are phenomenal at delivering outcomes. Like you said, you're average at all these component parts. You understand enough of them to ask good questions and to figure it out, but you're phenomenal at getting good people and then making sure that those people deliver the outcome that you're looking for. And that's a pro tip for everybody in every area of their life is, can you be less of the person carrying all the weight every time and more of the person amalgamating the talents to deliver the outcome, which is the thing we started with.
You've got to have people around you who are insanely smarter than you at doing almost every single thing that you do.
And at what point do you roll this philosophy out to like your clients? To give it really specific example, as an RTT therapist, how would you recommend they use that? Is it like someone shows up for their first session and you go, hey, what would make this session amazing for you?
People might just say, at the end of our session, my intention is to make the best session for you ever. Part of our process is I send you an email or a text and ask you for your feedback. Are you comfortable with that? So what you've got, you primed the process that I'm going to ask. Didn't prime how it's going to be. And you'll find on one of those little things there'll be an open box, and that's the one I really want. It just says, is there anything I could have done better? All of your questions, all of your comments will be confidential, and because I am a mission to improve myself and the quality of what I do, I'd love you to do that for me.
Like everyone says, the quality of your questions really determines the quality of anything that you do or your outcome, right? And so I start to think of really inventive ways to use these questions for people. And I have so many stories about different ways I've incorporated this, but the things I want to share with people here is like how I did the priming question for someone. I think I called North Star, right? And especially as a solopreneur or an intrapreneur who's delivering a service to an individual or a group, I think one of the most important questions you ever ask them is, what do you really want out of this? Maybe as an overarching of a program, like say it's an 8-week program, right? But especially if it's a one-on-one session like a therapist, right? And you simply ask them, what do you really want out of today? What would make this like incredible 10 out of 10 for you? That might be the biggest tool for today to remember, is that 1-2 combo is just whatever business you're in, whether you're an entrepreneur and you're asking your boss this question, because this is a phenomenal question to ask a manager, is like, what would be phenomenal? What would be a 10 out of 10 fulfilling my role? What would that look like to you? And then if you're a solopreneur, for every single client, for every single patient, and then to truly deliver to the best of your ability, right? And to make sure people are coming in with the appropriate expectations. The golden question, if you're not familiar with it, is on a scale of 1 to 10, what is the likelihood that you will refer, which is a whole separate video we have on YouTube that John did on the Rapid Transformational Therapy channel, the RTT channel, about referrals. And referrals is the ultimate predictor of the success of a business, which again comes down to what is the quality of the service or the product that you deliver. So if it's a paperclip, I'm assuming the paperclip works really well. And if it doesn't, the business is not going to succeed. No matter how much marketing you do, people know what a paperclip does. So any closing thoughts for them on business models and how to get more income and how to have a better relationship with money?
Take this idea as being a cycle. You got to start somewhere, okay? So I'm going to start by being a coach or a therapist, and this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to have my self-improvement plan. Now that's point 1. Then periodically, I'm going to ask, how am I doing? And you're going to take that information, and then you're going to reflect on it and go to a point of upgrade, action, okay? And then you're going to deliver that again, and then you're going to ask again. You do something, you ask for a result, you implement the result, you do it again, you ask again.
So it's a cycle of feedback and improvement.
Correct.
And hopefully you get to a point where people are like, I don't really know what you could have done better. That was amazing. That would be like Joe and the Juice sandwich. I don't even know how it could be better. It's so good.
Yeah. When you get a raving fan in front of you, you can give them things that they can give to other people without devaluing your product, because they come to this, they hand out this thing and they said, hey, Joe and the Juice gave me this thing, and I thought I'd give it to you. And the guy says, what's it like? I said, it's absolutely brilliant. So you've got a walking advert. So you can give these people gifts. One of the biggest things that probably put 40% of our turnover in a comedy club was simply this. Our raving fans, we used to give them the most amazing gift ever for themselves that they enjoyed. And then we gave them 10 tickets for them to give to somebody else. So, but only the raving fans, not just anybody's birthday, you're a raving fan. If you don't have the raving fans, keep going until you get them. Great.
Hope that was helpful. See you guys next time.
Check out my next video here.